Hi.
Morning.
Welcome to Missional Conversations. This is our third Tuesday morning chat with someone. My name's Anne. For those of you who don't know me, I'm on the Praxis team. I also help the YMCA with their chaplaincy program, and I help lead a kind of missional community called Breathe in Dublin. I'm joined with my co-host of Lucy Hill, who's also in Dublin with me. She helps lead 24/7 prayer here in Dublin. And this morning we are going to chat with Marian Edwards. Firstly, before we kick off, we always ask a question. So this morning, not just this morning, just life in general, what is your favorite sweet? Ladies. Oh yeah, we're all ladies today as well.
Yep. Marian, you go first.
I'm not really a mad sweet person. I do like chocolate, but but I like old-fashioned sweets. Maybe I'm giving my age away here, but I actually like licorice. So yeah, I like licorice.
Like black licorice?
Yeah. I know it's really weird.
Cool.
Or maybe clove rock. You know that the clove ones? They're nice as well.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't like cloves or licorice, so I'll pass mine to you next time I get some.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I miss the old-fashioned sweet shops where you used to go and get your sweeties in their paper bags. It's great. I'm a chocolate person really, but I'd say can't beat a good wine gum. That would be mine.
Yeah. I do love the jellies. I would say this is very American of me, but like Reese's cups, like anything with chocolate and peanut butter, or good chocolate with like, oh yeah. But you guys have kind of ruined me forever. Europe has great chocolate that I just like can't.
But is that candy now? Is that candy? Is candy?
That's sweet.
When I think of sweets, I think of candy. You see.
Oh, that's true. Okay, fair. I would jellies. Yeah, any sort of jelly, really. Not jelly beans, but a good jelly. Percy pigs.
Yep.
I've eaten a lot of Percy pigs in the last while. Anyway,
no idea what that is.
We could talk about sweets probably.
That's another segment we'll start next month about sweets. Thank you, Marian, so much for joining us. Marian is all the way out in Mayo, so we're excited to hear from you today. Will you just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, so yeah, that's right. I'm living over in northwest Mayo in a little town called Ballina. It's on the River Moy. It's on the North Mayo coast, which is absolutely gorgeous. I'm very privileged to live over here. And I'm originally from Cork, so a bit of a nomad. I love Ireland. So I have wandered around quite a bit, and I've lived in various counties. And I probably spent a fair share of my life before I just came over here in Sligo for about 22 years. So I've been here now almost 3 years. So I'm a bit of a nomad. I'm wandering around Ireland bit by bit. So
that's awesome.
That's wonderful.
Sounds like very pretty parts of Ireland as well. Yes. Not that there's ugly bits, but yes, that's great.
Can you pick where's your favorite place you've lived?
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone, okay? But Sligo is really is the land of heart's desire. Sligo is just one of Ireland's best kept secrets. It's a really small county and it's jam packed. I mean, you could go out in Sligo every day. You could go to Sligo for 3 weeks and go to a different beauty spot every day. It's got the mountains, it's got the lakes, it's got history, it's got the wild Atlantic Ocean, it's got apps, it's got Yeats, it's got literature, it's got Sligo is just.
You're selling it.
I know, that's it. I was like, with the 5Ks up, I'm coming. Sligo, I'm coming.
Oh yes, it's got all the surfers as well, so it's quite trendy. It's quite trendy. Yeah, Strandhill has got all the surfers, so it's got that whole surfing vibe. So it's a really cool place. Really, I think Sligo is really happening.
Okay, we'll keep it a secret.
Yeah, but I love Mayo too, by the way. It's very important to put that in. Mayo, yeah.
That's awesome.
So will you tell us a bit, Marian, about what you're doing now in Mayo, what you're involved in?
Well, a few years ago, I was working for the Church of Ireland in the Diocese of Kilmore, Elphin and Arda, and I was diocesan youth and children's worker. And I met our minister one day and just met him in someone's house, and he told me about this organization called Church Army. And I'd never really heard of it, to be honest with you. I wasn't overly familiar with it. And someone came from England and sat in front of me and described that organization. And I said, I don't know what that is, but that's me. That is me, because I'd always been kind of involved in church and kind of starting up new things, like starting up an outreach cafe or starting a youth event, or kind of just kind of going to places and igniting things like youth work in Longford and youth work in Mohill and County Leitrim. And I was kind of, so it was kind of always pioneering. I just didn't realize I was a pioneer. I didn't realize. I didn't have the lingo. I was just going and doing the stuff. You know what I mean? So I explored Church Army, and they accepted me for training. So Church Army then already had a partnership here in Ballina with Ballina churches together. So they work collaboratively.
I know it's a hard one.
So you had Ballina churches together, which was under Bishop Patrick Rook, who's the Church of Ireland, and you had Bishop John Fleming, who's a Roman Catholic bishop, in association then with Church Army, and we also had involvement of the Methodist Church and the Presbyterian Church as well. So this job was advertised, and I applied, and I always had a heart for Mayo. I don't know why, but I always had a heart for Mayo, and it was this opportunity. It was really, all my work up to that point had been kind of in the church and working within the church and trying to do outreach, but this was really different. This was kind of like out of the church and literally walk into a community and start from where do you, now there was someone here before me, Emma was here before me, and she had purchased the big blue bus. So we were looking at how to go literally out the door and into the community, and what does that look like? So how do you engage, walk into a community that you really don't know, and how do you engage with it and do mission and go out and share the good news about of Jesus, in the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, big blue bus sounds interesting as well. I think I've seen pictures of it and stuff. Do you guys still use that, or what kind of role has that been?
We haven't been able to use it.
COVID, yeah.
COVID, yeah. So what happened was, there's a lot of people living in isolation. So gentlemen started coming to the bus, many of them living alone in flats, or some of them living out as farmers in rural Ireland, probably, meeting their neighbours, but it just became a place for people to congregate. Then we also discovered there was a lot of teenagers in the town from, particular housing estates who were literally on the streets every Saturday night, every Friday, Saturday night, no place to go except wander the streets. So they started coming to the bus. And then we also took the bus into various housing estates and did kids clubs, and all the kids would come tumbling out of the houses to the big blue bus. We could have up to 25 kids on the bus. Oh my gosh, those kids are so precious. I miss them so much at the moment because we haven't been able to go back into the estates. We have done outreach still into the estates. But so the bus was kind of a mobile drop-in centre for people. But then COVID came along. So we started meeting in Tesco's car park outside. So we'd sit outside. So we bring the table, the coffee, and the chairs. And they still came. The men still came. And we sat around in a group in Tesco's car park on a Saturday night. And some of them would love to play music and to sing. So they started singing all the gospel songs. So they started bringing all the Jim Reeves songs. So this is like that made me cry, because my daddy was a big fan. I grew up listening to Jim Reeves and Jim Reeves gospel. And, it was just amazing. And this was all coming from them. Yeah. And we just had to sit, it was just creating a space. It was just creating tea, conversation, friendship, singing works. Singing, and the travelers would come.
For those of you who can sing, you would not want me to sing.
I know. But there's the language of singing. And it was the same for the travelers. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I could go into housing estates and sit in there on a Saturday, and the travelers would come, and they loved a cup of tea. They loved to sit around together and sing and drink tea and chat. And they have a very strong singing culture as well. So so that's what I've been up to. That's what we've been up to.
That's awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
Great.
I love that idea that you can really, when you connect with people in a way that they can relate to, so it's a safe space for them to feel like they can express themselves. And but you sound like, Marian, you're kind of a bit, you don't have too much fear. You seem to just get stuck in and go for it. Yeah. Well,
it's so funny, actually. I was right. I had to do an essay this week for Church Army. And it really, wow, God really spoke to me. And it was just, it was something my mother instilled in me. And I didn't realize it. And I'm so thankful. It just recently dawned on me. My mother used to push me out the door as a child, and she encouraged me to be adventurous. She encouraged me to go out and explore the world as a child from childhood. So therefore, I mean, that's something that Church Army would, if you check out Church Army, that would be something that they would encourage you to go out and be a risk taker. We're kind of risk adverse in the church, maybe we're risk adverse, whereas Church Army would encourage, and my mother encouraged, she instilled that in me to be a risk taker. So I was completely fearless. I literally grew up fearless. Like, I mean, and my father then was a man who was very fearful and worried about everything. But my mother instilled, and I have such an appreciation for my mother, even just recently, I just suddenly, wow, Mom, you encouraged me to be independent, to be a risk taker, and to be fearless and to be adventurous. Yeah. I know my dad did other things, you know. I never saw that. I never kind of realized that before. So yeah, fear is kind of not part of my language. I'd be risk taker.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the freedom to fail. I think you said that before when we've chatted, like that sort of freedom to fail is huge as well, like as a kid, but also then in the church, like you said, like we aren't okay with failure or like trying something and it not going as planned. And I think that's a huge thing that keeps us from mission, from exploring new things and being creative, is that fear. You're so right. And that's so sweet for your mom to have instilled that. And next week is International Women's Day, so go moms and other women in our lives and men who encourage us to be brave and fearless. That's awesome. Yeah,
but up to this point, I would always have said that my father had the single biggest influence on me with regards to faith, which was true. He instilled faith in me, but now I realize my mother instilled completely other things. So my mom's living on her own down Cork, so I've had a revelation. But as you said, Church Army do encourage, as a pioneering movement, do encourage you to try new things and be prepared to take risks and to learn. And one of the things I've been thinking about recently is, you know, if we're in business, people take, you know, entrepreneurs take risk. That's part of their language, and they try and they bring new products to the market. Sometimes they work, sometimes they fail, but they never stop trying. You know, it's instinctive, you know, it's just keep trying new things. And I probably wouldn't have liked the word failure in my life. Maybe because I think that's kind of something you can project in on yourself and say, oh, I'm a failure, I failed at this and I failed at that. And there's times in my life I probably said those things to myself. But I've realized that that's not the truth. That's not the truth. You just learn, and if it doesn't work, hey, that's fine.
Go again.
Go again. There you go. There you go. Yeah. So you've permission to fail. I remember being told that at Church Army, and I thought that's very liberating. That's very liberating. You have permission to try things, and if they don't work, okay, and if they do work, fantastic. So yeah, permission to fail is a big one.
Tell us, have you got anything that sticks out in your mind as one of your biggest failures, or something that didn't work and that you learned from, or
Oh, I'm not great at thinking on the spot.
Oh, I know, sorry. Yes, I put you on spot. Maybe something will come to you.
I failed more times than I can remember. I'm a bit like Peter. Come on.
So if somebody go on.
I just love Peter because he's just like, Peter's got, you know, he sees Jesus and it's just like, I love you, Lord, and you know, I'll do anything, Lord, I'll follow you anywhere. And you know, he sees Jesus out in the water and he gets out. I'm kind of like Peter in that regard. Gets out of the boat and he's walking on the water and yes, I got it. And then he's looking back and he's wondering, why are you all still in the boat? Like Jesus is out here in the water. And then he's sinking and he's denying Jesus and he's failed miserably. But you know, Jesus lovingly restores him and brings him back. So I kind of don't think in terms of I failed. I'm sure I failed, but straight off the top of my head, I kind of don't think of it like that. I kind of think, well, we did that, maybe it didn't work, and maybe we can tweak it. Maybe we can learn from it, and maybe have to go in a different direction. It didn't quite work out the way I thought, kind of thing. So,
do you think you said at the start, you know, a lot about the idea you did a lot of work in church, and then suddenly this is, you know, something that's all about being outside the church in the community. What do you think you have to do differently in that sense? What have you learned? You know, you spent all those years working in the church. What has kind of had to change for you in terms of what you do now?
That's a good question.
But can I read a little bit of what something that's on the Church Army website? And this is about Wilson Carlyle, who was the man who founded Church Army. And he said, basically, imagine a church that is full of people who are worshiping God, content with Sunday services, and happy with things as they are. And along comes a young curate on fire, wanting to spread the good news to people who wouldn't dream of setting foot inside a church. And this was 1882.
Oh, geez.
And a lot has changed.
Yeah.
With a few more fiery curates. And this was the dilemma that Wilson Carlyle faced. So he established Church Army to train ordinary people to go out and reach those in need. And he started it. He was involved. He worked in Westminster in the slums.
Okay.
So what was your question again?
So I was just saying, you know,
How do you get out? So how do you go out? How do you go out?
How do you get out of the church, and what do you have to do differently, or, you know, what did you have to learn to kind of make that shift?
Well, one of the things I did was join the St. Vincent de Paul locally. So that, you know, so Church Army is about doing it in word and deed. So I got involved with St. Vincent de Paul, and they already have a network within the community. So to get involved, I'd say get involved with one or two local, or like in Ballina, there's a group that goes around tidying up the town, picking up the litter. I would say get involved in your community. For example, I just moved into this house here, into this neighborhood, and I saw the place was a bit of a mess. And I just saw an opportunity for guerrilla gardening. Guerrilla gardening is where you go into, you just see a derelict area, and you just bring, I think it's hashtag love God, hashtag love your neighbor, hashtag love your neighborhood. So I just started clearing it up yesterday, and I was thinking, I know all the curtains are twitching now, and I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. Stepping on people's toes. Oh no, all the doors opened, and about 5 or 6 of the neighbors came out the door after seeing what we were doing for about an hour or two. This is fantastic. This is great. So there we go. When I get to know my whole little estate, because we're out there clearing all the ivy off the walls, and just tidying up the place, and they're all excited. So another thing I learned to do in the pandemic was get out of the car, because I realized, you know, we're cocooning. We talked about cocooning earlier, but I realized the car is actually a cocoon. So I started walking the streets of Ballina, and when I walked the streets of Ballina, I met a subculture of people that I would never have met, and I began to meet the same characters, the same faces on the streets. Some people I met randomly, you know, I'd meet them once, I might meet them again. And then other people I keep bumping into them all the time, because everyone's out walking and exercising within their 5K. But walking the streets, being involved in St. Vincent de Paul, getting involved in the neighborhood, all those kind of things. That's what I'd say. It's all about the people. It's all about the context. It's not about, I'm not so much into the attractional stuff. Hey, let's put on these big events and we'll attract everybody. No, we need to leave the building. We need to get out of the boat, and we need to go out on the water where Jesus is, because he's already out there. If you believe in God and Missio Dei and prevenient grace, believing God is already working in these people's lives. And I want to meet those people and say, oh Lord, who can I meet today that's already God-fearing in this community, who's already, you know, loves you and believes in you. Oh, another thing we did was chalk art. Yeah, we were out on Sunday outside the Catholic Cathedral, and it's between the two bridges in Ballina. So a lot of people walk between the bridges. They go over one bridge and they come up by the cathedral and go around the other bridge. So it's a very popular walking route. So I got this idea on Praxis, from a guy in Denmark, and he said, oh, people in my town in Denmark are they're leaving chalk messages, inspiring messages. So I thought that's a great idea, because I like art a bit and writing. And so I went out that day and I bought a box of chalk. but I was too scared to do it.
Oh.
So I hung on to the box of chalk for quite a few weeks, but then eventually I went out. I have a little sister, a little girl that I mentor in Freuga, and she's kind of arty as well. So we went and did a little bit, and then I got some of the volunteers in with Ballina churches together, because I know they're quite arty. There's a few of them, and then we started doing it in front of the cathedral when we get the fine weather, and we sometimes. There's one girl, Rosamond, she's really good at, she can just get down there and she can draw a complete picture. I like doing the script. So we do a mixture of scripture and inspirational sayings. You know, it's something, it could be, this week we did the focus on love. We've done hope. So we kind of pick different themes when we go out, and people come by and kids come by and kids get involved. And then we have gift bags for the kids to take away. We have conversations with the parents and it's that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
And I'm free to do all that.
Brilliant.
It is brilliant. Yeah.
Out of my knees and do chalk art.
Yeah, I did a few chalk messages at the start of lockdown because I live in near the sea. I'm like, oh yeah, I could just, loads of people are walking, but I haven't done it recently. So I'll have to get my chalk back out, see if I still have some. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So the kids came. There's one woman who came on Sunday and she drove around, and her daughter, little kid, made her drive around again. So she came, and then we let her come and draw. There was a couple of kids joined us on Sunday to draw their own things. They just want permission. Just want to be given permission, and it's great. And it just shower rain, it's all washed away. But people have taken photographs of that then, and they put it up on their, social media. Or I met one guy one time, and he was sending it to his sister in England. He was taking photographs and sending it to his sister in England to encourage her because she wasn't well. So yeah, so it's just, what is it? It's just like, I would always say to people, just bring what you got in your hands.
Yeah.
Bring what you got in your hands. I'm always thinking of that story, the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes. That boy had absolutely nothing. It was ludicrous what he had, but he brought it to Jesus, and Jesus multiplied. And I would say, bring what you got. Can you cook? Can you sew? We were doing gift bags for Valentine's Day for ladies. We thought that we would encourage, and this lady I know in my church, she's really good. I can't sew.
Me neither.
I
could do a button. I could put a button.
Yeah, just about.
Just about, yeah.
So she was really good. So I got her. She made 30 or 40 face masks for us, and so we put one into each gift bag. And someone else now at the moment is making butterflies for Easter. So we're going to put a butterfly, to signify new life and the resurrection. And we're going to put those into all the gift bags for Easter that we distribute to people in the community. They could be frontline workers, or they could be people living alone, or people who are, seriously ill with conditions like MS and things like that. So we just go around blessing people, generous, bless people, make people smile, ministry of presence on the street. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
It is.
Great.
I drink lots of tea.
You drink lots of tea and lots of chats. Yeah, it's the way to do it, isn't it? It's also just about just making time, isn't it? Like, those things don't just happen if we're rushing and always creating events or doing things. It's like somehow you've got to create some time and space, don't you, to just show up and be present to people. It's
another thing is really good to learn, which I had to learn as well, which I wasn't so good at. Like, I'm a really good talker, but actually being an active listener. Because sometimes people just want you to listen. They need you to listen to their story, how they're feeling, whether they're feeling well or unwell, whether they have anxiety, whether they're feeling depressed, whether they're feeling sad. And as you sit and listen to people's stories, I think that's kind of invaluable. I think it's just listening to people. Stop talking. Stop talking sometimes. Just listen. Just be present. I suppose it's just be present with people.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, especially with lockdown, like that was true pre-COVID, but it's even more so true now, especially people who feel very isolated. Being listened to and heard is like a massive thing, understood. And
it's really affecting people's mental health, and a lot of the people who we'd know from the town, they would have mental health issues, they would have addiction issues with alcoholism, and so there'd be a lot of brokenness in people's lives. And I suppose it's challenging really, because another thing that struck me recently was just unconditional love. You know, because when people have addictions and things like that, I was being a bit of a Pharisee, really. Kind of, you know, I kind of think I'm not really that judgmental, but I am actually. And then I was struck by how God entered our world, you know, became incarnate and came into the neighborhood. And he came looking for people, but he wasn't going to twist them or force them to say such and such a prayer or force them to become like us. Like, I just wonder how much of our love is actually unconditional.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you'd find that maybe some people will take, or they're addicts, but I've just felt like God saying, just give unconditionally. You know, I came into this world, I didn't come to twist people's arms. You know, I came seeking, but I didn't force anybody to love me. Yeah. You know, and I just think I felt a bit challenged to keep loving, you know, those who are addicts, those who are, you know, in pretty wretched situations, really, you know, really suffering and mental health issues, and people have messed up really badly in life, but just to continue to show unconditional love. It's not easy.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not easy. Fair play, yes, but like, thank you for saying that. I need to hear that today, so thanks for that.
Yeah, I was challenged. I was really challenged, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Keep it up. That's
good.
There's always a story behind someone's brokenness. There's always a story behind, you know. Yeah. And just to keep sharing the love in words and in deed.
I always think of that verse. It's the kindness of God that leads people to repentance, and it's like, it seems too simple, but it really is, isn't it? It's just that kindness and that love that you demonstrate that has such an impact on people, and they're maybe not expecting it from the church, and maybe from some of the other things they've experienced or received from the church. Absolutely. I'm 24/7 prayer, so I just have a little question I want to ask you about prayer. I just love to know what role prayer plays in all that you do. I just think prayer and mission go so closely together, and I just love to hear a bit about what that looks like for you.
Well, we obviously have a group prayer meeting every Sunday night on Zoom where we gather together to pray for the mission and the evangelism and the people that we meet or the needs that we see. But I always walk around Ballina praying, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come in Ballina. Thy will be done in Ballina as it is in heaven. So I just walk around endlessly praying, because I do a lot of walking. I have different walking routes around the town, and I just pray. Yeah, I pray all the time, because I believe even in difficult places or in the wilderness places, you know, I mean, I have seen miracles in my life because of prayer. Yeah. Like, I have a son, he's in England now, and he was a prodigal son. And I could be here for an hour telling you about my son. And I used to pray on my knees because I was desperate, and he was in a really bad place. But the prodigal came home. Today, the prodigal is working with the Antioch Network in Rochdale, Manchester, and he's now pioneering. He's a 26, and he's a pioneer and a pastor, working in going into a cross-cultural Muslim area. Now, this is the boy who did nothing in school, who wasted, you know, like the prodigal son, squandered all his resources growing up. And so I mean prayer, but I prayed on my knees. Like, I prayed on my knees. I would get down beside my knees. Like, my dad taught me how to pray. We used to pray at home. We used to get down on our knees to pray before Almighty God. And I prayed and prayed and prayed for my son. So, and my son now is the one telling me, Mom, you need to pray more.
I love it. That's great.
That's great. Yeah.
So yeah, I honestly, prayer is just, I can't think of anything, more important than prayer. I have seen prayer answered. I mean, the stuff that happened in my life, how Church Army came into my life, that's the providence of God. It wasn't because I didn't have any training. I mean, I was literally I was cleaning houses. I was just an ordinary person. I was a single mom cooking part-time in a job and cleaning houses just to pay the bills and take care of my 2 kids.
Mm.
And I prayed and prayed and prayed. And yeah, I know the power of prayer without a shadow of a doubt.
Would you say that if somebody doesn't know where to start, that a good start is to just walk your streets and start to pray? And I sometimes think when you pray, when you're outside, you start to see things that you maybe didn't notice before, or you see people that you didn't notice before. I just, I just wonder if there's people maybe listening in and thinking, well, I really don't know my community. I don't know what the needs are. I don't know where to start. It maybe just getting out, walking, and just praying as you walk is a good starting point.
Definitely. Yeah. I walk. I just love walking, and I use that to pray, and I pray as I go, and I smile at people too. That really helps.
Yeah.
It's funny, actually. Quite a few people have commented on that to me during the lockdown, because people have said to me, "You smile a lot. You make me laugh. Oh, I haven't laughed in ages. I need to laugh more this year." I didn't realize, so I just go around smiling at people and say good morning, and and I just and I pray as I go, and sometimes I have opportunities to have those conversations with people, and
Right.
definitely praying. 100%. God is good.
Good.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. This has been such a great conversation. And I do just want to throw in there that Marian's helping to facilitate one of our new cohorts about mission and context. So Marian and Catherine Hart from Northern Ireland and Roy Engel from Dublin are all facilitating that cohort, which we're really excited about, because it's so much about what Marian's talked about today, of just getting stuck into our communities and our context and understanding the culture around us, which is maybe very different than ours. So do look into that. I'll post a link here. It starts on Monday nights and it's just 3 sessions once a month. So Marian's helping out with that, which we're very excited about. So if you are struck by something she said or that we've chatted about, do sign up for that cohort. It's free. Again, it's 3 1 hour sessions, so it's not a huge commitment and can just go a long way in terms of helping you brainstorm and reimagine what church and mission looks like in your community and context. So thank you so much for your time, and thanks, Lucy, for helping co-host with me.
My pleasure.
Great. Thank you, ladies, and have a good rest of your day. Hopefully the sun comes out a bit more for wherever you are, and go for our walks and pray for our community. So thank you, and we'll see you again maybe in 2 weeks' time on Facebook Live again. So thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Marian.
girls.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Take care. God bless.
Bye.